Nuclear stocks, large and small, gaining on hopes around a new executive order from the president. Our Pippa Stevens is here with the latest. Morning, Pippa.
Good morning, Carl. Well, President Trump is preparing to sign executive orders aimed at boosting the nuclear industry. That's according to sources I've spoken with. Now, different drafts have been circulating, but the overarching goals are to speed up deployment, ease permitting, and boost U.S. nuclear supply chains in order to quadruple the U.S.'s nuclear power by 2050. Now, the orders are expected to include reforms to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, calls for the Department of Energy and Defense to deploy reactors on federal lands, leveraging their siting and licensing authorities, and boosting fuel supply chains to decrease dependence on foreign nations, including Russia. We are seeing broad gains across the sector, with the URA and URNM each up more than 10%. The miners like Cameco, Denison, and NextGen all higher, as are reactor developers like Oklo and NuScale, and fuel suppliers Centrus. There are also the utilities that own nuclear, including Constellation and Vistra. Now, this, of course, follows the reconciliation bill yesterday, where nuclear was the surprise winner within energy, seeing tax credits extended. Guys?
You know, Pippa, I was having this discussion the other day as well. China's building nuclear power plants. They can do it quickly, so to speak. Where are we right now in terms of start to finish for potentially, if I wanted to today get the permissions and could get going on a nuclear power plant? How long?
I mean, you're looking at more than a decade likely for commercial scale. And as you said, China is building those AP1000s. That is the same technology we have in the U.S. That's Westinghouse, Cameco, of course, and Brookfield, the majority owners there of Westinghouse. But China can build these in 5 years simply because it is a much faster process over there. Here, it is a lot harder. And so that's why people within the industry are calling for reforms to some of that permitting, just calling for reforms to the NRC, just making it more efficient. It's important to note that nobody wants the standards to be relaxed, given that the NRC is really seen as the gold standard worldwide, but just to speed up some of the things like the paperwork and the redundancies across all of these agencies. But I think more importantly, what really needs to happen here is there needs to be the environment for private investors, private capital to want to back these things. And so while these executive orders and the support at the federal level is very important, what you need is private capital. What you need is things like the LPO to provide that initial capital, that debt financing, to then harness private investors. Because for right now, the problem with nuclear is that it's just still behind schedule and too expensive. And so until we can harness that private capital, you're looking at, potentially no more commercial reactors in the future, guys.
We should do it. We should raise money, David, and build a nuclear reactor on federal land. It's getting easier, I guess.
Well, it might. But again, to Pippa's point, we got to get paid back at some reasonable period of time. It's hard to commit capital when you know you're going to get any revenues for at least 10 years. So, yeah.